This is Taylor Lorenz, the Washington Post's internet culture beat reporter. And last month, she opened up about facing massive internet backlash and the traumatic effect it had on her.
You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life.
Online harassment is such a misnomer. I think it's a huge problem because harassment is a tool to silence people, especially women.
But today, she's in hot water for allegedly doxing the identity of Libs of TikTok, one of the fastest Twitter accounts that highlights hyper-liberal radical leftists in all their glory on TikTok.
I teach my kids consent is that they all choose their own gender identity.
This is a tool I use to teach students about gender and sexuality.
So when babies are born, the doctor looks at them and they make a guess about whether the baby is a boy or a girl.
It's because it simply just clips, what these people are saying and then plays it for you. And you're like, can't believe this person exists. And that is why I think it has been so successful.
So is Libs of TikTok just another far-right, unnecessary voice fueling the culture war that Taylor Lorenz was right to shut down? Or is the Libs of TikTok doing a fantastic service in exposing some of the insanity on the left? And which should the response be by people who don't have a wild, radical political allegiance to either side?
Ruslan.
If you've never heard of Libs of TikTok, it is a Twitter feed similar to what Preachers and Sneakers was in the Christian sphere. It would just post things that pastors who are influential would wear and then let the story tell itself. Well, folks didn't like this very much, and ironically enough, Taylor Lorenz, who's a reporter who was just talking about being brutally mistreated and harassed online, crying. This is this month that this video came out, went the extra mile of revealing the identity of the person behind Libs of TikTok. And Libs of TikTok posted this photo. Say, hi, Taylor Lorenz, which of my relatives did you enjoy harassing the most at their homes yesterday? I want to give you guys her response. Then I want to give you guys the response of what I would say some sensible people who are progressives and or on the left are saying. Here, defended her decision to reveal the woman's identity. So it's a woman that runs the Libs of TikTok identity, tweeting, reporters make phone calls, send messages, and show up places and knock on doors when reporting a story. I reported this story out extensively using every tool I had to ensure I had the correct woman. In response to the criticism that she targeted a private citizen who wished to remain anonymous, Lorenz tweeted that the social media user isn't just an average woman with a social account, but instead is a powerful influencer operating a massively impactful right-wing media shaping discourse around LGBTQ rights. It is an interesting time where often the internet wins. And this is what I mean. The internet will do the work for us in terms of properly showing you what people on some of the fringes think. I think this is a proper and good utility, in my opinion. I don't think that people who are reporting this sort of online journalism should be doxxed. And I don't think folks like Taylor Lorenz should be mistreated either. I think we should just let people get the information that they want to get. So I wanted to highlight a couple things. One, I wanted to highlight some of the macro worldview that's happening here, which I'm going to show at the end of this video. So I wanted to highlight the perspective of someone who identifies as progressive and liberal, but stays out of the culture war shenanigans we often see online. So I watch Crystal and Sagar from Breaking Points pretty frequently, and here are some of their thoughts about this whole debacle.
So rather than directly going after the arguments, rather than offering their own effective counter narrative, the strategy is instead, let's destroy this person, let's destroy this account. In a democracy, you have to accept that there's gonna be information out there that you don't like.
Yeah.
The instinct to instead use the power that liberal mainstream outlets have to try to shut these things down, I think that's a bad direction for democracy. And I also think that it doesn't work.
I think the root of this issue is being okay with some of the most fringe and extreme voices to represent the ideals and the values of a broader group and community context.
most of what the account does, like I said, is like repost the cringiest lib content on TikTok that you could possibly find. I don't like this content when it comes to the left or the right of just picking out like the most ridiculous person and try to smear an entire group of people.
For example, on this channel, we make it a point to address in-house a lot of the shenanigans we see in the public sphere with influential Christian voices that I believe tend to be problematic to the greater cause of furthering our message. And this lack of self-accountability seems to happen on all sides, but as of recently, this has been going on a lot on the left by letting the most radical activists speak for the views of the majority of the people. But one thing I have found is that regardless of your political or religious affiliations, the thing that we all hate is hypocrisy.
The kind of hypocrisy to be someone who on the one hand cries about being a victim of harassment if you dare talk about them or criticize them. If you criticize me, you are intentionally causing people to bully and harass me, and that is you know, out of bounds.
If you say my name.
How can you then turn around and write a story like this and not apply that same principle of, aren't you inciting harassment against this person? What does it add to that story to actually expose this person's name and their profession, their real estate license, and all of that?
And we all can be inconsistent and hypocritical at times. But the issue with a lot of the dialogue around these culture wars is that they could have us in a never-ending rat wheel of outrage and frustration without any practical steps into how we can better our situations. But before I get into that solution, I want to unpack some of these nonsensical arguments that have been pushed forth lately. I think both parties are just full of hogwash and nonsense for the most part. Now, as a person of faith, I have some things that are valuable to me, and I wanted to highlight the macro issues that are happening here from a worldview standpoint, because I think this is where we're getting into some of the nitty-gritty of what Libs of TikTok is attempting to highlight and why going after them I think is problematic. So this may offend you, buckle up. I don't mean to offend you, but just fair warning. Truthful versus my truth views that many people are conflicted on in today's climate. What is the truth? Here's an example. Obesity is unhealthy. It doesn't matter what you are currently living like right now. The reality is that if you are obese, that is shaving years off your life. That is an unequivocal fact. Now, there's an entire movement that says you could be healthy at every size, and not just be healthy at every size, you need to kind of dunk on the people that take their health serious. So if men are looking at men's issues and why is men's testosterone getting lower over the years, that's stupid, you guys are lame, you're an idiot, right? Hey, being obese is unhealthy. Doesn't mean you're not valuable, doesn't mean God doesn't love you, doesn't mean that you don't have a ton of worth. No, it does. It means all those things, but it means that you should love yourself enough to change what's going to happen to your life if you stay overweight. The my truth argument is like, no, you could be healthy at every weight. No, what do you mean? You could be in great shape and be 300 pounds, 200 pounds. That's nonsense. That could be your truth, but that's not the truth. There's an objective truth. Here's another one. Unprovoked violence is bad. We should all be able to say that in a civilized society, you shouldn't be able to walk up and do something violent to someone if they didn't first attack you. So unprovoked violence is bad, more or less, right? That's called assault, that's called battery, so on and so forth. Now, in this world, speech is violence. So because speech is violence, Will Smith is justified in smacking Chris Rock because Chris Rock provoked him with speech. You can't unprovokedly attack someone and then say you didn't like their words and their words were violent, therefore you can attack them and create violence. We saw some of this kind of being co-signed by the mainstream media. Now, you guys know me. I believe that there are some issues within our society, police reform, so on and so forth, that need to be addressed. But what we saw in the midst of the riots was some people even in Congress saying, oh, it's okay because they're justified to riot because, well, you know, they're just really frustrated. It's a systemic issue. And so what does it matter? Burn down Target, burn down Walmart. No. No, unprovoked violence is bad. It's always bad, whether it's for a good cause or a bad cause, whether it's for your wife or not your wife. Gender is science. We just say, hey, the gender, biology, the body is meant to develop a certain way. Boys, they're gonna hit puberty. When they hit puberty, you know what's gonna happen? They are going to develop testosterone. Their sac is gonna drop, and then they're going to be able to put on muscle faster. They're gonna be a little bit more athletic faster. This is good. Gender is science. This is good. No, gender is how you feel inside. And so if how you feel inside and gender is a choice, then what is gender at all? And if gender is a choice and gender is a feeling and gender is a spectrum, then why do we even have male and female sports? Why don't we just erase it all and just say the best basketball players and see how many women from the WNBA get into basketball? No, gender is a science. Sex is a science. These things are science. There's biology attached to them, right? No, it's not just a feeling. It's not just a choice. Respect all people. The truth is, you should be respectful of all people. You should be kind to all people. We should not want anyone to be assaulted, to be violated, to be bullied, to be mistreated, or treated poorly, or losing their job, or not have certain rights and access to healthcare and all those, right? The issue on the other side is, well, don't tolerate intolerance. So if someone holds a different position than you, that you deem as intolerant, you're intolerant towards my view, and therefore I have the right to cancel you, to disrespect you, to maybe even get physically violent with you because you're not tolerating what I think you should tolerate. You're not embracing the ideologies that I want you to embrace with regards to trans rights, with regards to whatever, right? I think this is problematic. Let's keep going. If you solve problems, you will make money. This is some economics, free market stuff. If you have 2 hands, 2 arms, and you go solve the problems of bagging groceries or cleaning, well, guess what? You will get compensated in equivalence to the degree of problem that you solve. If you have 2 hands, 2 arms, are able-bodied, and you can learn a skill that's a bit more scarce, you can then learn to solve more problems or greater problems. If you solve greater problems, guess what? The market will reward you. So if someone can clean, they will get paid, call it $15 an hour. If someone owns the cleaning company, guess what? They will get paid $100 an hour. If someone can sit on a computer and type nasty Facebook posts and comments on Instagram, versus someone takes this utility and say, I'm gonna go learn to code, I'm gonna learn software, I'm gonna learn to build a website, I'm gonna go learn to build an app, I'm gonna learn to build something that everybody needs, but they don't know they need. If they do that, guess what? They're going to make more money. The bigger the problems you solve, the higher the revenue you're gonna generate. This is basic common sense. Well, my truth will say, no, all jobs are equal. They don't solve equal problems, but all jobs are equal and they should be paid more or less the same because all jobs are, but no, not necessarily, right? And that doesn't mean there's not imbalances here. Teachers are very important. They don't get paid as much as a tech CEO, okay? That may not be right, okay? But that doesn't mean that all of these things are equal. They're not equal. The greater the problem you solve, the greater you're gonna get paid for it, more or less in a free market society. And all of this comes back to this idea of rules for thee, but not rules for me. The logical conclusions of these things can be very dangerous because they then start getting legislated. They then start making them mandated. The deeper issue is when we start taking the idea that you can be healthy at every size and we start telling kids that. And we say, it doesn't matter if you're 20 years old and 300 pounds, you could be healthy at that size. No, you can't, okay? You could be obese and be healthy. No, you can't, right? You could, whatever you feel, that is your truth. No, it's not. But you're not gonna legislate that for me to say, my kids, and I have to affirm this ideology. No, right? Therein lies the issue, is the hypocrisy, the double talk, and the ideology. And what it really is that we don't like religious dogma. So you know, the historic Judeo-Christian views that most of us probably who are watching this channel hold, that a lot of the principles, not the country, but the principles our Constitution was founded on, hold. Oh, we don't like those, so we're gonna give you new dogma. And it's this dogma over here of my truth and my reality and what I feel. So you're really just swapping out one form of fundamentalism for another form of fundamentalism. It'd be interesting how the social experiment plays out. So I think people should have the freedom to believe whatever it is they want to believe. I think the danger becomes when we start prescribing nonsense as objective truth. And if you want to hear the logical conclusion of how some of this plays out, check out this hilarious story about a biologically born man who went to a women's prison and impregnated 2 other inmates.